My name is Jim Al-Khalili, and I'm Emeritus Professor of Physics at the University of Surrey. My book is called On Time, the Physics that Makes the Universe Tick.
Is time travel possible according to physics?
A question I'm often asked when it comes to the nature of time is whether we can travel through time. After all, if you think about time, according to Einstein, as part of four-dimensional space-time, then I can move through space. I can exist at this point in space or that point in space, and I can come back to this point, and I can travel around. Why is it that we can't do the same with time? Why can't we move up and down the time axis? Why are we stuck inexorably moving along the time axis when all times supposedly are there and exist? Well, of course, time isn't exactly like another dimension of space. It is different. It is special. Einstein's theories of relativity may not be the last word on whether or not we can travel through time, but they're the best we have at the moment, and they do tell us something about the possibility of time travel. Of course, we've all watched many movies and TV shows involving time travel. I don't want to go on record for, actually criticizing the really bad time travel movies, Hot Tub Time Machine, but there are also some really intelligent ones. But real physics says when we talk about time travel, we have to make a distinction between the possibility of time travel into the future and time travel back into the past. And it turns out one is easier than the other. Time travel into the future is easy. And I don't just mean if I sit still, tomorrow will eventually arrive, I've time traveled into tomorrow. No, what I mean by time travel into the future is getting there before everyone else. And relativity theory says this is possible by slowing time down. So if I were to head off in a rocket at close to the speed of light and zip around the galaxy for, a week, when I come back to Earth, by virtue of traveling very fast, but also, one should say, because I'm accelerating and changing direction, and therefore acceleration being equivalent to gravity means my time is running slower. Essentially, less time will have elapsed for me when I return to Earth than has gone by on Earth without me. So I may have only experienced a few weeks of time travel, but I may return back to Earth years in the future. In a sense, it's not real time travel because it's not that the future was already there waiting for me. I've just sort of fast forwarded to the future. I've moved in along a different timeline, a different world line through space-time, and arrived at the future with less time having gone by for me than for everyone else. But as far as I'm concerned, I could arrive in the future arbitrarily in the distant future, depending on how closely I got to the speed of light or how strong a gravitational field I felt. So in the film Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey's character is an astronaut, and they land on this water planet that's in orbit around a supermassive black hole. Now, black holes are regions of space where gravity is very, very strong. This planet is in orbit, it's in free fall around the black hole, so they only experience the gravity of the planet itself, but they're nevertheless embedded within the gravitational field of the black hole, where time now is really running slower. That gravity is slowing time so much. The astronauts in the movie know that for every hour they spend on that planet, 7 years are going by on Earth. And sure enough, Matthew McConaughey's character comes back to Earth, having not aged that much. He's not been away that long, but his young daughter's now an old lady. Whether or not you regard that as real time travel is up to you. Much more interesting, of course, is whether we can time travel back into the past. And again, general relativity doesn't rule this out. Theoretically, we can think of such notions, what are called closed time-like curves, which would be the equivalent of riding on a roller coaster and doing a sort of loop-the-loop. As you're traveling along it, your time is unfolding normally. But you would loop back in time, you could arrive back at the point in space that you left, but at an earlier moment in time. So you can travel back in time that way. The problem, of course, is that this leads to all sorts of paradoxes. So while general relativity strictly doesn't rule out time travel into the past, it leads to all sorts of conundrums which we find rather difficult to get over, such as the famous grandfather paradox. You go back into the past and you're not very nice, so you kill your grandfather before he's met your mother, your grandmother. They never meet, they never marry, your mother's never born, therefore you're never born. And if you're never born, who killed your grandfather? It wasn't you, you have the perfect alibi, you didn't exist, so he doesn't get killed. I've always found that rather strange. Why would you skip a generation? Why not just go back and murder your own mother? Not very nice, I know. But it can make it even bleaker. Go back and meet your younger self. And then, and kill your younger self. So if you never grow up to be a time-traveling murderer, then you don't get killed. So you do grow up to be a time-traveling murderer, and so on. So there are many such paradoxes that would suggest that time travel into the past is impossible. However, we don't yet know where the loopholes are in our laws of physics that would rule them out. Typically, what many might say is that the only way out of this is to subscribe to potentially an even more fantastical notion, which is that we live in multiple realities. So there are parallel realities. Certainly there are areas of physics that would suggest this is true. In cosmology, there's the idea of the cosmological multiverse, bubble universes that have their own big bang, that are formed. In the quantum world, one of the popular ways of explaining the weirdness of the quantum world is to subscribe to what's called the many worlds interpretation, that every time anywhere in the universe, down at the quantum level, something's faced with a choice, the universe branches into multiple options. Famously, Schrodinger's cat in the box that's dead and alive at the same time, and you open the box to make up its mind because it's made of atoms, and atoms can exist in multiple states. Well, in the many worlds interpretation, there's a you that opens the box to find an alive cat, and there's a you that opens the box to find the dead cat. So these parallel universes exist. This helps us if we're trying to insist on the possibility of time travel into the past. The murdering time traveler can go back in time, but in doing so, they inevitably slip into a parallel reality. In that reality, they can meet and indeed murder their younger self. All that happens is that they will never then grow up in that universe, but the murderer was born and was never murdered in their own universe. So you can have multiple realities. And again, many science fiction writers have written about this, but do we have evidence of parallel realities? Well, no more than we have evidence that time travel into the past is possible. One way many commentators have tried to support the notion that time travel into the past is possible and to rule out paradox is the so-called Novikov self-consistency principle. The idea that if you were to travel into the past, then, and you can interact with the past, you can alter things, but you can only make them turn out the way they have turned out. So the example I used many years ago when I was explaining this was the notion that we know 66 million years ago an asteroid hit the Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs, and that allowed mammals to evolve and humans to evolve from them. Had that asteroid not hit the Earth, maybe dinosaurs would still be around today and we wouldn't exist. Well, what if someone in the future invents a time machine and takes some nuclear weapon back in the time machine 66 million years in order to destroy the asteroid so that it doesn't hit the Earth? But when he gets back there, he sees an asteroid actually is much bigger than the one he recalls, and he does his best and fires his nuclear missile at it, fragments it, but a smaller fragment remains that hits the Earth, wipes out the dinosaurs. And so, had he not traveled back in time, something else would have happened. Maybe, he would have missed the Earth entirely. So the fact that he traveled back in time caused the past to evolve the way it has into the future. There are problems with this, of course, and people argue it gets rid of paradox. It doesn't, because what if he decides not to go back? What if he gets back to the past and sees that and thinks, "Oh wow, my nuclear missile isn't going to be able to destroy this. I won't even bother." What if you go back? The one example is a time-traveling scientist. He gets up one day and finds a manual for how to build a time machine in his lab. He uses that manual to build a time machine, and finally, when it's built, he gets in the time machine, takes the manual with him, travels back in time, and leaves it in the lab for his younger self to find. All perfectly self-consistent. But the problem is, A, where did that manual come from in the first place? This is information, this is knowledge that seems to have been caught in a time loop, round and round forever. And secondly, what if he decides when he builds the time machine not to go back in time, or not to take the manual? He has to do it because that's how he found it. So there's a real assault on free will here. We are forced to do something because the future determines the past. One way that many scientists have got around the idea of the laws of physics allowing time travel into the past is to simply say that it's forbidden for some reason. Stephen Hawking famously said, if time travel into the past is possible, where are all the time travelers from the future? Surely they should be among us today. Well, Stephen Hawking, had his tongue firmly in cheek when he said this, because he knew the answer. Of course, it may be there are no time travelers today simply because, maybe there are, and they're just keeping a low profile. Maybe there aren't because no one wants to come back to 2025. They're waiting for us to sort the planet properly and solve the climate crisis and so on before they organize package tours back into the past. Or it simply could be, the most sensible answer is that there are no time travelers from the future among us today because we haven't built a time machine yet. If you build a time machine, the earliest moment you can use it to travel back to is the moment you turned it on, because that's the moment you hook up that moment in time, and then into the future, you can, at any moment in the future, you can go back to that moment. But you can never go back before the moment because there wasn't a time machine that existed back then. Of course, for now, the idea of time travel into the future and the past is makes for great stories and great movies. But much of science and the technology that we've developed from science today would appear like magic to someone 1,000 years ago, or even 100 years ago. So to what extent might we know so much more about the laws of nature 100 or 1,000 years from now, and look back to 2025 and say, wow, weren't we naive in thinking that's not possible, or that's silly? Maybe in 1,000 years from now, we've figured out how to create a wormhole in space that can be used as a time machine. Who knows? One thing is for sure, we should never be so arrogant in thinking that we already have all the answers. We know a lot about the universe, and a lot of what we know we don't think is going to be overthrown for very good reasons. But we don't know everything. So who knows what we might discover in the distant future.
Want to support the channel? Join the Big Think members community where you get access to videos early, ad-free.